Welcome into NASCAR America Motormouths. Guys, I won't lie, it's been so long, I had to make sure I had the name right. Steve Letarte here, Jeff Burton, Kyle Petty. We've been down for a few weeks because of the Olympics, but back from Indianapolis. There's so much to unpack. First of all, we want you, the fans, to call in 1-844-NASCAR-NBC. Call in, let us know what you thought about it. Jeff, okay, before we get into Dinger, Briscoe, curbing, everything, let's start with a weekend that I didn't think I would ever see in my lifetime, and that is NASCAR and IndyCar. Happy to be at the same track together on the same weekend. I was bravo for the race fans, bravo for the weekend. I thought it was a great step for motorsports in the U.S.
It was a fun weekend. The energy in the infield was big. It was real. Fans liked being there. That infield energy reminded me of a little bit of what we used to see there. We didn't see, obviously full stands, but that energy in the infield was real. It was fun. It was fun. We saw, IndyCar drivers talking to NASCAR drivers and vice versa. It was just a fun weekend all the way around. I know we had some issues, but that weekend will have to be done again.
Saturday was interesting because you had fans that had come to see Helio and Dixon and all those guys, and all of a sudden they're watching Harrison and these guys, and they're like, man, I like this racing. And then you've got guys that came to watch the Xfinity race, and they're like, never been to an IndyCar race before. What a great day this is. So I agree with you. The energy level and the excitement of what they were going to see. They weren't sure what they were going to see, but they knew they were going to see something different on that Saturday, kind of like when we first went there with the Brickyard. They didn't know what they were going to see, but they were going to see stuff.
And so selfishly, I got to do the Indy 500, but we don't get to go to IndyCar races. We work, right? NASCAR races every weekend for the second half of the year. So selfishly, I was excited to attend a race. And I won't lie, my brain cramped a little bit watching the Xfinity cars and the Indy cars on the same circuit. Like, I just couldn't believe the grip those Indy cars make and how easy they make some of the switchbacks and transitions look. But look, it was a big weekend for motorsports, but the race itself was smooth for 2/3 of it and had a pretty chaotic last 5 or 6 laps. Let's go back and relive the final few laps from the NASCAR race.
It will be 6 laps to go when they get the green flag.
This has been an intense race.
There are going to be some guys trying to race side by side through turns 5 and 6.
Green flag back in the air.
They're bumping and banging and grinding, and one car's around, coming out of turn number 6.
All of that contact between the two leaders is allowed. Oh, the 24 is spinning. The 24's, there's multiple cars into the wall here. We got more cars coming in.
William Byron is reporting that the curb came up. He hit the curb in the 24.
Numerous cars are destroyed. 2 laps to determine who will be the first ever to win on the road course at Indianapolis.
And there's more calamity on the back straightaway.
Huge jump right there.
Once again, hard on the gas. Across the yard of bricks.
Here's Briscoe to the outside, but he's going to be offline. No, Briscoe's in the grass. Briscoe will come back onto the grass, and now he will be side by side with Denny Hamlin.
He leads them into 7. Briscoe right on his tail. We'll have to see how NASCAR.
Stop and go. 14 has a
Stop and go for the 14 car. He is not racing for the win. Oh, he's going to spin Denny. Denny is spun out.
That puts AJ Allmendinger in the lead because Briscoe will have to serve a penalty.
Another chapter written into the Indy history books. AJ Allmendinger will cross the yard of bricks, the winner.
Let's go! Baby, we don't do it the easy way.
And this is unbelievable. I in my wildest dreams could never imagine the way that just played out. Baby, I love you so much, Mom and Dad, all my friends and family. Oh my God, we just wanted Indy.
So pretty calm. Not a lot happened last 6 laps in Indy. All right, so let's start. Let's start at the finish and work backwards.
That was only 6 laps?
That was 6 laps. That was about an hour for 6 laps. Let's start at the finish and work backwards, and let's start with, because I believe through all of the dust and debris, he should be celebrated. Let's talk about our colleague, AJ Allmendinger. I'm not going to hide from it. Works with us here on NBC. He's won an IndyCar car, NASCAR, sports car, won the Rolex. Now he's won a cup race at Indianapolis. Jeff, your thoughts on the Dinger?
Well, listen, we know how good he is, and I think he's the best he's ever been now. I think he's more calm with himself. You and I, watching him race in Cup many times, said, just calm down, man. Like, it's going to be okay. And he's learned how to do that. I think the Xfinity series fits him well, fits his temperament well. He's a leader of that group. And listen, man, he deserved this win.
Yeah.
I mean, he did not have the best car all day, but he put himself in position. He found a way to avoid the chaos, and he put himself in position to win the race. And when it was time to execute, he was right there to get it done. He had a great restart.
Yeah.
The second to last restart, he picked up a ton of spots on the inside.
Right.
That put him in position. And that's when you hire AJ Allmendinger to go drive your car to Indianapolis on the road course. That's why you hired him.
Yeah.
It's because he can make that move and many others can't.
Yeah. It's got a big W beside his name, okay? There's not an asterisk that says, well, all this stuff happened in the last 6 laps. It's not. There's a big W beside his name. That's how simple it is. You know what I mean? He won the race. Everybody had an opportunity. They were just in the place to take advantage of the opportunity that was given them. And you got to give it to him, man. I mean, they were dumbfounded, though. I mean, Dale Jarrett and I were standing in Victory Lane, and I know he thanked, you know, his mom, his first grade teacher, the first person that ever changed the diaper, all that stuff. But he didn't know what to say.
Right.
He honestly was speechless. And to have AJ Allmendinger speechless, we know that working with him. He's never speechless. He's got an opinion. But he and those guys were just dumbfounded that they had made a call, had put themselves in a position where you said it. They had great tires at the end of the race, had some of the freshest tires on the racetrack, and was able to capitalize on it. So congratulations. Congratulations to a team that's run what? 5 or 6 races, had 4 top 10s, 2 or 3 top 5s, and now a win and just 6 or 7 cup races. So it's going to be, that's good for the sport. That's good for the sport.
So before we move on, let's talk about the team. Matt Kaulig buys 2 charters, going full-time racing next year. Justin Haley and driver TBD. We know Allmendinger's around there. He's going to run some. We're going to learn more as we go. I can't, for all the teams that haven't made it, right, and there's a long list, I couldn't be more excited for Matt Kaulig. I mean, he has invested a ton of time and money.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since we've seen a part-timer win at the Cup Series.
Shoot, yeah.
And listen, and he's come in, and you know, we've seen a lot of owners come in here and just throw money, right?
Yeah, right.
Just throw money. I'm going to fix it with money.
That's right.
That's not how you fix it. You hire the right people. You know, Chris Rice has done a great job for Matt Kaulig. They built the program. They said we're going to build it, but we're not going to be, you know, we're not going to try to conquer Rome in a day. They've slowly built their program. They see this new car as an opportunity next year to get into the Cup Series. They've done it the right way. They haven't tried to come in and just take over. They've worked themselves in, and I have a lot of respect for that. The patience that's been required by Matt Kaulig to do that. I have a great deal of respect for that, and we need that energy from new car owners.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We have to have it. Our sport needs it, and he's just done things the right way.
He's a long-term player.
Yeah.
He's here for the long haul. He didn't come in to do this short-term and throw a ton of money. He's here to make something.
All right, so as we peel this onion back, I agree with you. The W, no asterisks.
None.
There's no
None.
pictures in the trophy case other than trophies. Dinger won it. He deserved it.
That's right.
But let's
End of
peel the onion
conversation.
back a little bit. And I think to do that, we have to talk Briscoe, Denny Hamlin. But to get into that conversation, let's relive that final restart with a little bit of audio. Now, we're going to have audio both from NASCAR and the team. Some's easy to make out, some not so much. Take a watch.
Left side, there, you're in line. Still there. He pushed us off the racetrack.
14 knows a stop and go and turn 10, drivers left, shortcutting a course. 14 knows a stop and go.
Clear. Say we owe him a stop and go and turn 10. That's stop and go, turn 10. Turning now on channel 2. Stop and go, turn 10. Stop. Pass, what do you want to do? We just wrecked the 11.
Close the 14. Close a pass through at this time.
Now they want us to do a pass through.
I think we knows what happens, right? AJ Allmendinger has the lead, and he goes on to win the race. So I had some questions before I saw this piece. First of all, I didn't know how clear and concise NASCAR was. Yes. I felt like I knew there would be a penalty because I got their handout beforehand and they gave some instructions on what corners you could and couldn't shortcut. Yeah. They also showed us where turn 10 was. I had to study where turn 10 was. Yeah. Didn't know until I went to Indianapolis. I like what I heard from NASCAR. He was barely on the backstretch. He owes us a stop and go. Yes. He even went so far as to say, driver's left, turn 10. Yeah. Like we're even giving you the, in case of the heat, you didn't have it. Yeah. Now, I'm also going to defend the team, though, that 2 spotters, Indianapolis, the Pagoda, crew chief on the front, concrete behind him with the garage areas. You heard the jumbled up. I don't know if 2 people were on the radio.
Yeah, it's hard to tell.
I'm not even sure I know what was channel 1 and channel 2. The simple fact is he didn't do a stop and go. Then he made contact with Denny Hamlin. So there's a ton to unfold. Let's start with simply turn 1.
That's a great place to start.
Let's start turn 1.
Yes.
Denny Hamlin, Chase Briscoe on the outside. Are we okay with Denny's move, and are we okay with Briscoe's evasive action?
Okay, all right, so to me, Chase Briscoe did a great job, got a great restart. Well, now he gets down into turn 1, and there's nowhere for him to get back on the track. Now, I can't be mad at Denny Hamlin for that. He's 3 wide. He's 2 wide. If Briscoe tries to come back on the racetrack, they're 3 wide. What's Hamlin going to do? He's got a guy on the outside of him. All right, so now here's Briscoe through the grass. And those at home are like, he's got to serve a penalty, right? Yeah. No, he's got to serve a penalty. Yeah. But you're in that car, and you're not going to serve a penalty until somebody tells you to serve a penalty. Like, you're going to drive that car around.
That's important because I'm not a race car driver. Yeah. You've won a ton of races. Yes. In your mind, you're going until you hear otherwise.
100%.
Okay, that's important I think to point out.
I agree with that 100%.
Great. So if I'm at Talladega and I'm coming to the white flag or the checkered flag and I pass somebody below the yellow line, I'm not going to just say, oh, well, I passed him below the yellow line. Right. I'm going to make them make the call.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And on top of that, and you and I have both been in a situation back when we were young, here's a kid, a young man that's trying to get his first win in his hometown in Indianapolis, Indiana, at the Brickyard. All those emotions are real. And so to sit at home and say, well, you knew you had to serve a penalty, like just serve the penalty.
Yeah.
No, that ain't going to happen.
That's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. And it shouldn't. Chase Briscoe, in my opinion, shouldn't have served a penalty until he got told to serve a penalty.
That's right.
That's my opinion. Yeah. That's turn 1.
Yeah, yeah. And listen, and I'm not so sure. I'm just going to throw it out there and say, if I'd have been in Chase Briscoe's place and I had heard that audio, I'd have raced them all the way to the checkered flag. Right. I'd have run them all the way to the checkered flag and made them do something to me, made them put me somewhere. You know what I mean?
Well, for the record, they did. Yeah, they put him back.
That's it. But I'm not, on the last lap, why am I going to pull over? If you're going to penalize me or you're going to park me, you're going to put me back there anyhow. You know, and we heard this in post-race. This is one of the first things Denny said. You know, right here, and as we watch this video, they go down in there. Denny did everything he could do. He's trying to protect the inside. Somebody jumps to the outside. Now all of a sudden he's going to be 3 wide right here. Denny's got to stay on the racetrack. That's what he's trying to do. But he loses his mind right here because he's lost the lead. Even though, and he said it in post-race. He said, "How do I go to turn 1 and I stay on the racetrack and the guy runs through the grass, and when I come out and I look ahead of me, there's a car in front of me leading the race for a moment." So it is. I don't see where in turn 1 that anybody did anything other than race hard. We had seen it on multiple restarts, and this was the end of the race. This was Indy. This was for the Brickyard.
Okay, let's move past the penalty. We put the penalty to bed. Now we have Chase Briscoe, who flat wrecks the 11. I'm not going to say maliciously. I'm not saying he meant it on purpose. I don't know what he was thinking, but he spun the 11 off his front bumper to the left. And it wrecked him. I mean, the rear bumper. Didn't catch him in the corner panel, wasn't side by side. I don't believe he drove in there going, I'm going to spit him off in the grass and try to win this race. But it doesn't change the fact that Denny Hamlin now is backwards through the grass. My opinion is, I am not mad at him. He owned it, but he wrecked him. I don't see any other way around that. Am I wrong?
And if I'm Denny Hamlin, I'm furious. I got a chance to win the race.
He wasn't? Like, he was mad, but he wasn't furious?
I was. Listen, if that had been Tony Stewart, we'd have seen a fist thrown first. I mean, a lot of guys. There's a lot of guys. At this race, at this level, with what this race meant to a lot of people, and you talk about Chase meaning it Chase, I'd have walked in and I'd have never said anything. It'll look like Hemrick and those guys. And
you'd have come in all of Andy Holyfield.
Yes, exactly, dude.
All right.
I'd have bit an ear.
All right.
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
This is what Tony Stewart had to say. He said, I'm just glad you stood up for yourself. You deserve you know, that'll go a long way. Proud, you know, I think that means a lot to Chase because Tony Stewart, he has said, is one of his idols, one of his mentors. So I guess take me into Briscoe and Denny, and let's pass the penalty. Now we're talking about the contact and the spin.
Okay, let's on Tony Stewart's comment. I'm sure that has a lot to do with Tony Stewart. Probably, I hadn't talked to Tony Stewart.
Yeah.
But I would imagine Tony Stewart feels like, number one, Chase ran well all day.
Yep.
Right.
Yes.
Number two, he drove into turn one in position to take the lead and got run off the racetrack. So if you're the car owner, you're like, well, what is my driver supposed to do?
Yeah, he's got to defend
right?
his
So
driver.
I don't think Tony's defending spinning him out. I don't think Tony is saying, hey, good job spinning him out. But so I think that's what Tony's comment's about, right? But back to Hamlin, like if I'm Denny Hamlin, like I didn't do anything wrong. Like I drove into turn one, there's somebody on that inside of me. What am I going to do? I can't run him off the track. If I'm Denny Hamlin, you know, I'm mad because the race got taken away from me from a guy that's getting penalized. I mean, I think I'm surprised he didn't express his anger a little more. I think he did later. I think later he made some comments. He made some comments after that was all starting to come out. But, you know, Denny Hamlin, they called that race perfectly. They weren't fast enough to win the race, and they called it perfectly to put himself in position to win the race. And he's sitting there in great opportunity to win the race, did a great job taking advantage of all that, and he gets wrecked. And there's no Chase Briscoe wrecked him. I mean, I don't think we've watched Chase Briscoe race a lot. I don't think Chase Briscoe did it on purpose. But, you know, again, when you're that young guy and that win is right in front of you, you tend to push a little harder than maybe you should have, and that's what happened there.
So I won't lie. I in my mind, as I heard Denny's interview, I just kept seeing him run into Chase at Martinsville and spinning him out when he said he's been in the like my point is I don't know if it's a more mature Denny, if it's car owner Denny. It doesn't really matter because in the end, like he gets to control it and have it whatever comments he wants. But Denny at the Brickyard, that's 3 of the last 5 that he has been. I mean,
but you know what?
On the doorstep.
I think about and as we sit here and I'm listening to what you guys are saying too. I think Chase and Denny both. And we talk about Denny being a little bit more upset after he had an opportunity to think about it. I'm betting AJ was more excited after he had a time to think about it. You know what I'm saying?
There was a lot. I think everybody was.
I think everybody was just stunned.
Yeah.
I think Denny's stunned that he was spun from the lead from a guy who was going to be penalized. How do I process this? Right. Briscoe's stunned, you know, because he spun Denny and he was going to be penalized. He's thinking, what have I done?
Right.
You know, a rookie spinning Denny Hamlin out.
That's right. And then you got AJ standing in victory lane thinking, how did I end up here?
Right.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, those 3 guys, the 3 interviews that we went to instantly, they didn't have time to really process it. But you know what? I have to say, I heard Briscoe's comments yesterday, and I didn't fully agree with what he said because he said I got into him on the right rear a little bit. But when you look at that, he did. He was making a move back across to get position, and he's just – it's hard to explain to you. It's hard to explain to these people out here. He understands it. When you're in that position, you grab that wheel a little bit tighter, you lean up into those belts a little bit more, and you force that car up off the corner. You see people drive go-karts, and they're doing this, trying to get it to hop. Man, you're all but hopping in the seat to get that thing to go. And he's there, and you get out over your wheels. You get out over those front wheels sometimes. And that's what it looks like. Watching this from there, I have to say, I apologize to Chase. I've not said anything, but in my mind, I apologize to Chase Briscoe because I thought it was a little bit more than that.
Well, I will say what he's taught me about issues like this and accidents is the worst thing we ever do is slow him down and watch him 3 or 4 times because he reminds me the drivers didn't have it slow and they didn't have 3 or 4 times, right? This was a moment in time, and they're going to have to live with the consequences. I'm not making excuses, but as an analyst, I struggled to see it 6 times and keep coming up in my opinion.
But as an analyst, I will say this. I was with Dale Earnhardt Sr. at a cocktail party after a race one night, after an Xfinity race, and I heard him tell the great Chris Economaki, until you set your butt in there at 140 degrees and have to make a split-second decision, don't ever guess what's going through my head because you can't. You can't. It happens. You make a decision. It's instinctual. You just do something, and sometimes it's right, sometimes it's wrong.
And the fact that drivers will get over their ski tips is why we love watching.
Oh, that's the whole point. Listen, it's a
wrecking
show. You're sick of hearing of us. Call in 1-844-NASCAR on NBC. If you thought that was crazy, let's see a curb explode and destroy some race cars. Why not? Well, it was a pretty calm day in Indianapolis until right here. I'm going to tell you, I had no idea what happened when I saw this live. William Byron, the first to hit it. The curb comes apart in turn 6. Joey Logano, so thankful to see Joey Logano jump out. That scared me, that hit. But watch right here, the 24, an explosion tears something off the right front of the car. And here comes Joey Logano. I mean, it tears literally the whole nose off that car. And straight he goes. The carnage continues. Listen, we have some calls. I'm going to get right to them. Just real quick, I've seen a lot of things, didn't see this one coming.
No, I didn't see this one coming. And we were just talking about it. As long as you've been in the sport, you just never know what's going to happen. We can't have this, clearly.
No.
Right?
Well, did we all agree on that?
Yeah, clearly that's unacceptable to have the racetrack come up like that. Clearly that's unacceptable, and that's got to be looked at. How does that not happen again? Yeah. This is not the only racetrack in the world that we go to that has steel curbs.
Yeah, right.
So it's not unusual to have steel curbs, but clearly it failed, and I know they're working hard to fix it. And what a shame, because it was good racing. All weekend we had good racing, and now that's turned into the story.
Well, the best way to fire KP up? Fan calls. Let's go to the hotline. NASCAR.
Oh, my gosh.
NASCAR America Motormouths is back, buddy. What you got?
Hey, it's good to hear it, see y'all, talk to y'all. That's exactly what I wanted to talk about. Does NASCAR they do everything they can for track maintenance, what have you. But maybe do they have to, when we go to these road courses, midway through the race, do we have to get the drivers out there, get the maintenance crew out there to check these out so we ain't having these good cars taken out that are vying for playoff spots and fighting for that. And by the way, before you answer, Mr. Burton, if you thought the infield at Indy, yours truly will be at the infield at MIS this week. So I hope to see y'all. KP got something special for you, my friend.
Can't wait to see you, man. Can't wait to see you.
So I'm going to jump in real quick and say, listen, I don't think the process needs to change. The product needs to change. We've had racing at road courses as long as I've been alive. This is obviously a serious situation that needs to be addressed. But I think it more has to do with, we've seen metal curbs at a lot of racetracks that have survived. What is different here? What's different about that curb? That's my thoughts.
Yes, but listen. Let's go. We can go back over the last 15 or 20 years. And we're constantly learning. Constantly trying to improve the automobiles, the cars, the pit crew procedures, the equipment, the racetracks with safer barriers, whatever. We went through a span a number of years ago with you guys, you at Watkins Glen, you guys at Watkins Glen, and somebody, you just see people wreck in places you've never seen something happen before. They've run 6,000 races at a place, and all of a sudden you think, nobody's ever hit there. We've got to make it better. They run all these laps over this thing all weekend long, okay? And it decides to come apart early in this race, don't get me wrong, but then late in the race, it just catastrophic failure. So I don't think you need to, I think NASCAR has a program where they go in 2 or 3 weeks ahead of time, they evaluate the race, track, they see what it is, they understand it. Obviously, they felt it was okay. Doug Bulls and the guys at Indy, they felt it was okay.
Yeah.
And it was okay for a while. When it broke the first time, in hindsight, when we had the first failure with the underpan that went under it, that's when it needed to be looked at and needed to be reevaluated. But I don't think changing their procedures in a lot of ways needs to be done, no.
So let's split it forward. It fails, they remove it. Would you have been okay if NASCAR and Indy would have said, you know what, that's enough, guys. We don't have a safe way to continue and not restarted the race?
When it failed at the very, very end, and they
right
had
Joe Logano in the fence, the big ramp, they take the curb away.
I know the fans would not have been. I know the fans.
But you personally would have been okay with that.
I would personally, for 2 reasons, okay? For 2 reasons. First, you had a catastrophic failure of a part of the racetrack, just like if a fence comes down and the fans are exposed. It's a catastrophic failure to the racetrack, number one. Number two, for the safety of the drivers, to say, now we're going to send them out there and make them run 2 laps on a racetrack they've never been on before. They've been on it, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that, but they've not come through here at speed this way. And I mean, there's so many little things, and you could spin it 1,000 different ways. The thing is, just end it, let's stop, let's move on to somewhere else. And look, there's 1, 2, 3, we can go on, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, how many cars that we would have saved? You know what I mean? It would have had a different outcome for today, and we wouldn't be talking about this. We'd be talking about the curb. They would be mad people. We would be mad. NASCAR would be mad. Everybody would be mad. But I don't think we would have put any drivers in harm's way.
Can I say, too, that whenever these things happen, the immediate emotional response is, well, they just shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and so if you're going to do something different, there are going to be some pains in it.
Yes, totally.
And,
for sure.
And the way to fix things is listen, prior to the curb coming up, and if the race would have been bad, then you know what? Yeah, don't do it again.
Yeah.
But the race was good.
I was entertained.
Until then.
Right.
And so the entire course doesn't need to be changed. That corner doesn't need to be changed. The shape of the track doesn't need to be changed. The curb needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
Just that's where the focus should go, is fix the curb. But what will happen is you get these emotional responses. Well, they shouldn't be running there anyway. I mean, this was Saturday. I thought this was...
Well, this was the change that was made.
Correct. So they learned from this mistake. That curb should have never been there on Saturday, and we can have a conversation about that. I mean, the drivers knew it was there. The problem is you can't see it. The car's on the inside of the guys on the outside. They're just using the racetrack. They don't know that they're going to put that guy up in a ramp. But you shouldn't, the track shouldn't have, the grass is the limiting factor.
Yes.
On that corner, not something stuck on the racetrack to destroy a race car.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that was a silly decision. They didn't have it last year, but in their defense, they took it out.
Yeah, right.
They took it out for Sunday. But let's don't. Well, they shouldn't be doing it.
Yes.
Don't go there. Like, what has to be fixed is that one curb on Sunday. If that would have been not come up, it would have been a big event, been a good event.
All right, back to the calls. 844 NASCAR NBC. Kyle, you're on. What's happening, bud?
Hey, guys. So I think everybody's kind of missing a really simple solution to me is NASCAR just needs to enforce the rules, because if you think about like super speedways and the yellow line, you cannot go below the yellow line or you'll be black flagged, you'll be penalized. So why doesn't NASCAR just say, all right, guys, going forward, if you go over these curves, this is what's going to happen, and just make them follow the actual track, and then we don't have Saturday's orange, launch pad and all the chaos happen on Saturday and subsequently on Sunday. If they just make that simple enforcement of the rules and say, you guys got to stay on the track, you can't hit those curves, or you're going to be black flag. And I bet that would probably change the whole mindset of the drivers.
All right, I have an opinion, but I'm not going to go first.
Okay, I agree with Kyle. I know it's hard to police, but that's their damn job. Yeah. They have a race.
Yeah.
It's, it's hard to call pass interference in football, but that's their job. And so I don't think a track limiter, a car destroyer should be the track limiter. If you say you got to have 4 tires, just like at the Roval, if you got to have 4 tires, no more, 4 tires got to be, one of them's got to be touching the curb, that's the rule. Put a guy over there and make the call. F1 does it. I mean, other series do it. You shouldn't have to, Corey LaJoie shouldn't tear his car up because he ran on. He should have been penalized, not destroyed. I agree with Kyle 100%.
So I don't like the destroying curbs as a limiting factor. But I'm going to also say I do not like refereeing and racing. Mm-hmm. I would love to design a racetrack or conceptually work on a racetrack that basically drivers can kind of go. Now, it can't be everywhere, and maybe that's the solution here. But I was vocal after the Glen. I don't like all the runoff at the Glen. I don't like left of turn 1. I don't like left of the carousel. I don't like right at turn 6 because I'm stubborn, and that's not the Glen I grew up with. I also don't like gravel, so I don't know if you put strips of gravel but what I don't like is destroying race cars. So I can agree with that. Yeah. But to your point, it was always a track limit. I'm not sure why they felt like they had to put the big curve back there as well that LaJoie and a couple of them ran over.
Yeah, I don't either. But I don't know why they I don't know why they double curved it.
That's what they did. They did like a curve, and then they did like a wall.
Penalty curve.
You'd be better off with like a wall.
So here's what I'm going to say. If we go and let's use Watkins Glen. Let's use Watkins Glen as an example. So when we went to Watkins Glen, and they put the bus stop in after multiple wrecks at the end of that long back stretch and carrying so much speed off into that corner, they put the bus stop in. Okay. So the curves.
Yeah, they're like rumble strips.
Well, first they had some rumble strips.
Okay.
So that didn't help anything because we'd spin out in the grass. Okay. And the thing. They put curbs in turning into there that were at about that shape.
How'd that work?
You had to run around them. It wasn't a curb you could run over. It was, water would run off of it. You know what I mean? It was that, but you couldn't hit it. Because if you did hit it, it absolutely sent you over here somewhere. And we all know it's tough to go through there. It'd be almost impossible with the way those were. But that's back in the 90s. We go all the way back to there. So the thing is, we've built curbing that the cars can take and that is low enough that's not a detriment to hit. So back to Kyle's point, if we're going to have curbing, let's have real curbing then. You know what I mean? Let's have curbing that has some substance to it. Look at this. It's a rough spot in the road when you see it. It is a lot when you have no ground clearance on these cars. Don't get me wrong.
Well, you know what that actually did? If done correctly, that actually jumped you over the real thing you didn't want to hit.
Yeah, exactly.
It was like a good range. Because at the start of practice, they were barely hitting it. By about lap 15, they're like, I'll tell you what, if I get a little bit more, I could just jump right over that next spot.
Listen, think about running Martinsville when we had real curb, on the city street that was down there on the inside. You know what I mean? And if you hit it, it knocked you back out. Then they gradually, they shaped it too. So
to this, Kyle, so they had a rule in turns 1, 5, 6, and 7. If you had all 4 tires on the wrong side of the curb, it's penalty.
That's correct. So 6 was on the list. So why do you need a big thing back there?
That's right.
Listen, so here's the rule. And by the way, if you break the rule, we're going to destroy your car.
Good call, Kyle. Good call. Good name, good call.
Kyle, you're the winner.
Yeah, you are the winner of the call. Good call. Good call.
All right, well, we're not going to end the show. We got a whole bunch of callers. Keep calling in, 1-844-NASCAR NBC. We're going to come back. I have a feeling we're going to still talk some curbing.
Yeah,
That's a pretty big story, apparently. It's going to be.
There's nobody better on this track in an IndyCar. Willpower wins.
Hey, man, way to go. Finally.
Today he's going to win at the historic Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Cindric gets the win.
Very impressed. That's what it looked like Saturday in Indianapolis. The man clapping up top, Roger Penske, owns the Speedway, owns IndyCar. Will Power for Team Penske wins IndyCar race.
Big.
Austin Cindric, they were going for the sweep. Unfortunately, it didn't go their way. Well, listen, it's a call-in show. We got the fans calling in, so let's go to the hotline. Linda, you're on.
Hi. My question was, I don't know if it's a question as much as my thoughts or opinion, but prior to the big one, Martin Truex had checked up for what he seen was debris. If NASCAR would have threw the caution at that point in time for the debris, they would have checked that and seen that the curbing was coming up. Maybe that would have prevented the big one and all the damage to the cars. I don't understand why they wouldn't have thrown the caution to check that.
All right, Linda, I have to be here with you, right? So I didn't see it, I haven't gone back and revisited it other than what we did on TV. But KP, the 19 went through, he checks up, there's some debris. In my mind, that generates a yellow, and perhaps we don't get the second trip through.
Listen, we were talking about this before we came in here. Is why didn't they throw a caution when all this stuff was flying through the air right here? You see it right there behind him.
He checked up because he saw the debris.
Because he saw that debris. He saw all this stuff flying through the air. He checks up a little bit. Christopher Bell gets in the back of him. I wonder if Truex will take Christopher Bell's call this week. That's a whole nother issue. But that was a little bit of a smart aleck.
I like that. I like that.
I made a note. Okay. So, I don't know why they didn't throw a caution either. I don't know who the I would like to know, did they run out and clean the track after everybody went by?
Well, the big piece went in the grass. I don't know what else was out there.
That was outside. What we don't know is where it all went.
Where it all went. That's where it all went.
Okay.
Good statement, though.
Good.
I like it. All right, Jared.
Thank you, Linda.
You're on.
Hello?
Hey, man, get off the curb and call us.
You're out there, Jared.
You're out there, Jared. Talk.
I am. Hold on.
Hey, we
just got put on hold.
Sorry about that.
Oh, go ahead, Jared.
All right, go, dude. Go.
I apologize. Sorry, I have something in my hand. So my question is that how can NASCAR improve on the curb? That way the drivers don't have to worry about, trying to be so much more careful. That way the racing can stay as consistent as it is.
Well, I'll go real simple. We run a lot of different racetracks. We run COTA, Sonoma, Watkins Glen. We have a big variety of racetracks. We've been to Road America. I think we have a sample set of successful facilities, right?
For sure.
So I think NASCAR, in this expansion of the road courses, this is something they're going to have to go, hey, it wasn't on our radar. Apparently it needs to be on our radar. And I think they have to put some specifics in place on what correct curbing may or may not look like. I hate more, specifications for a race, but just like soft walls, NASCAR can require those. I think curbing can be on the list as well.
Good point. Good point.
Right, and we have a lot of racetracks
I like that.
all around the country where we have all kinds. So,
thanks, man.
Chris, you're on with Burton and KP.
Hey, my question is, don't you think that they're pushing this road racing just a touch too far? There was 2. That was enough. Now they got 6, and apparently it's too much because, hey, we're supposed to turn left, not left and right.
Go ahead.
Well, so listen, every fan can have their own opinion about that.
Totally.
Right? I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. The reason that NASCAR is going to so many road courses is because a lot of the fans have liked it, and the road courses have been good. And in fairness, we have more calls a day on our line than we have in the time we've been taking calls on this show.
Yes.
Now, there's some extenuating circumstances with curbs coming up and everything else. So I think some fans would say, hey, I think it's too many road courses. I think other fans would say really like it. And I you know what? I don't think you should feel wrong no matter how you feel.
That's
how
right.
you feel. That's how you feel.
It's okay if you say there's too much. I will say this. I saw a couple quotes that people that missed a Brickyard said the fans weren't any better at the road course. That's false. I drove around the facility on a golf cart. I think they weren't as obvious because they weren't like in the front stretch grandstands.
True.
But there was a lot of people spread around that racetrack. In my opinion, it had to be 2-3 times what we've seen at most Brickyards in the last few years.
I'm going to add one more thing to what he said. Road courses have been a part of NASCAR since the very beginning.
So we used to have more, right?
Yeah, don't think this is the first time. Bridgehampton, they ran Riverside 3 times a year back in the 60s and 70s. You know what I mean? So road course racing has been a part of the sport. Just because we have 7 now, okay? I realize people are their heads are blowing up all of a sudden that there's 7 of them, but they have run road courses forever in this sport.
All right, James, what you got?
This me?
Yes, sir. You're on.
Oh, I was wondering, my question is, do you think NASCAR should be looking at Chase Briscoe's radio communications? I've read something on NASCAR.com about that. And is that fair? They don't usually do that.
I don't need to see anything from it. We just relived it here. I heard clear and concise from NASCAR. I think that Chase Briscoe's team needs to go back through their radio communications and make sure they do a better job informing their driver, being concise and clear. As we mentioned, there are more road courses. Going to the Roval, if I was on top of the box for any of these teams, I would get my multiple spotters and be like, hey, listen, you're out there not just for accidents. You know the rules. If this happens and it's black and white, like there's no question in your mind, don't expect the driver knows. He's busy. You have to tell it, because what I saw from NASCAR there is they told him on the backstretch, and when he passed turn 10, it was a stop and go. The penalty escalated.
But here's the thing, and I think you may be a little mistaken where you say NASCAR doesn't usually do this. They listen to communication all day long, all day long, and we can. I
can attest they listen, because
they listen. Believe me, they listen to everything that goes on. If you don't believe they listen, let's go back to 2014 when Clint Boyer's arm started itching. And it totally changed the playoffs and all this stuff. They were able to track back that they had a code and things went on, and they just listen to things. They listen to intent. They listen to how things are going on out there.
Well, that's why digital radios aren't allowed in the spotter stand anymore.
Yeah,
right? so they can hear everything.
So they can hear everything. So they listen.
That's exactly right. And also, I want to add this. So you have NASCAR, who clearly stated there's a penalty coming. 14 needs to serve a penalty. That guy that was being told to serve a penalty wrecks the leader. I think NASCAR should get into it and understand what did the driver know.
Yeah.
If the driver knew.
And when did he know it?
Right. So because in NASCAR's world, right? In NASCAR's world, it's like, okay, we told the team.
We're done.
It's the team's responsibility to get to the driver. Why didn't the team get to the driver, or did the team get to the driver? And so if I'm NASCAR and I'm penalizing a guy and that guy ends up wrecking a leader, I want to know what happened.
All right,
and did the driver know
That's
it?
a great point.
So I'm going to go off on a tangent just for a minute. I want to get 2 drivers' opinions. Next year, new car. a lot of new technology. I feel it's time for some dash communication.
Ooh, yeah, why not?
Caution lights on the dash, maybe penalty on the dash. Like my point is, so if I go back to the little kids that don't have spotters at all the little dirt tracks around here, they wear an earpiece, and it's race control, and they speak to everyone. There's a caution in turn 3.
Yeah.
Do this, do this, do this, do this. I don't want them talking to the driver.
Yeah.
But in this world of digital dash, is there an area on the dash that teams should be required, and that is communication from NASCAR?
That's a good point.
I mean, it's out there a little bit.
We're talking about.
Yeah, it's not that far out there. You know, it's not that far out there. And listen, in
pits open, pits closed.
But it could be as simple as a light comes on the dash that's yellow as soon as the caution comes out. As soon as they hit the switch, that comes on. And it could be as simple as there's a pink light on the dash, and if a pink light comes on, that means you're under penalty. You're under review. You should know that. So listen to what somebody's saying to you.
I'm just trying
a
to
reminder.
think of other.
There could be anything.
Because the spotter world has changed from when penalties came by spotters. I mean, those guys are.
True.
And so let's be clear about this too. So the crew chief's the boss, right? So the spotter, like when and you answer this, this is a question, not a comment. So the spotter, does he feel empowered enough to say, we're being penalized, or does he get on Channel 2 and call you first?
Go back to the original thing. Go into the Roval, I would change it and empower my spotters. Because NASCAR is not giving you 3 laps.
Yeah.
You had a penalty, we expected to stop.
That's right.
That's a big difference.
That's a great point.
All right, Brooklyn, you're on NASCAR America Motormouths.
Hey, guys, you guys got me?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so I wanted to ask, based on what we saw yesterday with the Cup Series and the Xfinity Series on the Indy Road Course, I want to get your guys' opinion on this. Would you rather see, and regardless of all the issues we saw with the curbing and everything that went on, would you rather see, if we went back to Indy, would you rather see them on the oval or back on the road course?
Oval or road course, KP?
Road course.
Road
I
course.
thought it was a better race.
Alternate them.
Yeah. Hey, that's a great point.
Great facility.
Yeah.
Alternate them.
That's a great. Hey, what if we run the road course on Saturday and the oval on Sunday? Same car.
I'll say this.
I'm just throwing it out there.
I thought the road course was good. I missed the oval. I think we need to miss the oval for a couple of years because perhaps we didn't appreciate what we had. We being the industry, we being the fan base, we being the drivers. Now that it's gone for a couple, 3 years, I think we'd have better participation all around. I'm actually a big proponent of constant change.
Yeah.
What I think is not good for the sport is, the road course work, we're going to run it for the next 20 years.
Yeah.
Now, hold on. Run it a couple times, and when that starts to lose some flavor, go back to the big track.
So listen, and this is just Kyle. Okay, sorry. And that's all I can say.
Pay attention. When he says it's just Kyle, you really want to listen to him.
The road course was a better race
Fair.
From the beginning until we had our stuff than the oval ever was. I ran the old racetrack at Ontario. There was never a good race at Ontario. It was a copy of what Indy is. That's not a great stock car track. It's just a hard stock car track.
Well, Miami started that way, and it got redone.
And it went away from it too because it was that. It's just that design is not a great stock car track. It's a great IndyCar track.
Yeah,
great, man, incredible racing. So, but I like what you said. Take it away, give it back. Let's alternate. Let's do something. I kind of like that. I do like that.
The good thing about where we are as a sport right now is we used to do. We knew where we were going to race.
Yeah.
Well, why do we need to know where we're going to race?
Yeah.
Why can't we in January? Well, not January. That wouldn't be fair. But why can't we
give the fans heads up
now? Be saying, okay, here's.
Well, we don't, right? I don't know.
Here's
next
what fans
year's
like
schedule.
now. Here's what they. And 5 years from now, they're going to like something different.
Something different.
We don't have to lock ourselves in.
I look at IndyCar, Nashville Grand Prix, right? Was it a great event? Spectacular.
Great
was
event.
the fan base great? Yup.
Yep.
Was Over the Bridge cool? Yup. Are you going to tell me it was the perfect racetrack? You're not going to get my vote. There were some issues with the track, but I think IndyCar is going, okay, well, we didn't hit it out of the park. What are we going to do? Maybe we can make some adjustments. Like we can't be so frozen with fear that we don't try some stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the point system goes with it too. Remember, because if you win and you're in, it's not like they don't all total up. It gets reset for the playoffs. It's a different world.
Yeah. No.
We want our drivers aggressive, taking chances, and all that. But we as a sport need to do that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Listen, I like it.
And alienate the people that watch.
Yeah.
But we need I don't know what I like till I see it.
Yeah, that's fact.
I'm not smart
I'm
enough.
not even sure I know it the first time.
I mean, I'm not
I
really
got to see it
smart
2 or 3
enough,
times.
right?
I gotta get
I
replay.
like that. So
I gotta see
we
it 2
got
or
to
3
try
times.
some stuff.
Bail us out. More calls. We need the fans. 844 NASCAR NBC. We can talk anything. Dinger, Briscoe, curbing, road courses. Call us. Give us your thoughts. 2 races remain in the regular season, and it gets kicked back off again. It starts with IndyCar, actually on Peacock. We got a little NTT IndyCar series from the Worldwide Technology Raceway. It took me a little while to figure out what WWT is, but I know now. Then we have some Xfinity Series action from Michigan. Then we got a little motocross. Always fun to see some 2 wheels. Then we're going to get the IndyCar qualifying. It's a big day. Then we got the race. And then on Sunday, the Irish Hills, 400 miles at Michigan. As I said, 2 races remain.
Wait a minute, all that was on Saturday?
All that's on Saturday. You see from 1 to 8. If you could scroll between Peacock, NBCSN, and NBC, you can watch racing all day long on Saturday.
Awesome.
Did you clear your schedule yet?
I will.
Xfinity races.
Listen,
short.
after doing this show, my schedule may be cleared forever. If
No,
NBC's watching.
you're good. But we got a couple callers. You can still mess it up. Xfinity race is a sprint.
Yeah, it's 200 miles. Gotta go.
It is.
We gotta
it
go.
is, it is.
Gotta go there.
And Jerry's on the lake. We'll be there Saturday afternoon. Oh boy. Marvin Blue, you're on.
It's good to be back on with you guys. How you doing today?
Wonderful.
Man.
Hey guys, I got a question for you. We've got 2 races left to go in the regular season, and I want to know who in the bottom 4 do you see clinching a playoff berth heading into Darlington on September the 5th?
Well, there's 3 now. DH, Denny Hamlin is locked in on points. We have basically Harvick close. You know, plus 95. Reddick, Dillon, a surprise winner would probably have to change this up. So real quick, all right, Harvick, Reddick, Dillon, somebody else? Who you got? Give me 3 names that are going to fill in behind Denny Hamlin. Can we all agree Harvick's in?
Yes.
Harvick's in?
I think so.
All right, then all we need is 2 names.
Yeah.
No, we need 1 name.
1 name.
Man, my math's getting bad. 1 name. Who joins Harvick?
Listen, if I'm Reddick or Austin Dillon, I am scared to death until they throw the checkered flag at Daytona. Yeah, you know what I mean? Because anybody. I mean, you can get somebody who can jump in there and win.
You don't see on there Stenhouse, some other guys that are still lower down in points.
Yeah. So Reddick, even if we were going to Daytona today and the points look like that, Reddick has to go to Daytona thinking that he's got to win the race.
Yes. I agree.
Yeah.
So when you drive like that, it's easy to get going pointed backwards.
Exactly. So if I'm Reddick, I am trying to gain 12 points to 15 points at Michigan to make my teammate Austin Dillon know he needs to win.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so then my point is, if I can get a big enough gap, I can still think I might have to win, but I don't have to race the first 2 stages that way.
Okay, I disagree. Yeah. Because what if Ross Chastain wins?
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
That's the crazy thing.
Yeah.
That is the crazy thing. And
It's
listen,
not about points any longer.
Reddick and
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, but Reddick and Dillon did everything they were supposed to do yesterday. Everything.
It was like punch, counter punch.
Counter punch. But I mean, watching that was fascinating to me to watch because Reddick would be up there and then everybody would pit at the end of a stage because they were trying to win the race.
I'm battling for points, and if a new winner knocks me out, then we should have won. But I'm not going to race that way.
So let me back up because everything you just said just sunk in. So your point is, if you have enough points going, you could ride the first 2 stages and not have to worry about points.
Yes. Because if you lose points to Dillon, then you have to look. Those 2 to go on both stages are a disaster. I want Dillon when he walks into Daytona knows if he's not in victory lane, he's out.
You know me, I like to argue. But if you don't race for points and you let Austin Dillon sit there and get stage points, and either way, he goes to Daytona. If everything's the same today, he goes to Daytona thinking somebody else might win this race.
Yeah.
I say this every year. You know what you really need to be doing? Is making sure in February you have a speech with your guys that you shouldn't care about Daytona in September because if you did, you put yourself in a bad spot.
That's so stressful.
We say
it's so bad.
You say it all the time. You say it all the time. We'll come out of there and say, well, this guy missed it by 3 points. This guy missed it by 10 points. No, he missed it in February.
Yep.
He missed it in March. He missed it in April. He missed it in May.
Wait a minute. The points count the same.
They total.
I'm sorry they do. It's amazing how they add up. 1, 2,
Points
3.
are kind of like bills. They just keep coming.
They just keep coming, man. They're in your
We have a
mailbox.
caller line there. I missed the name. What was the name? John. John, you're on.
Hey guys, thank you for taking my call. But this question more for Steve, talking about car setups, primarily with the Penske group with their brake packages. Thinking about the last 2 weeks, it seemed like they've been having some brake issues. So do you think it's more of something that they're experimenting with on the road courses, or how does that work from a car setup standpoint?
So I believe it's car setup. I don't think it's as much braking. You can't do a lot with the actual brake components. You're locked in. There's only so many different calipers and brakes and pads and rotor combinations. It's really how your car is set up. And what's shocking to me is Brad Keselowski braking has been a disaster at 2 road courses. I mean, a disaster. But Blaney seemed to be okay. Logano seemed to be okay, which is concerning to me heading to the Roval. If I'm the 2 car, I'm trying to... You know, it's funny how you get a little stubborn with some setup items like, well, we got to run this much rear spring. Yeah. Well, that's not what's wrong with our braking. Well, how do you know?
Yeah.
Right? So that's going to be the toughest part is you think you know what part affects, the braking so much, but you don't really know. So if I am the 2 car, they were just flat bad.
Yeah.
Right? They were just flat bad. So I would have to definitely change something in my setup because it all starts with corner entry. If you can't get on the brakes, you're sitting.
That's 2 weeks in a row they were just...
Watkins Glenn spun out and hit his own teammate going into turn 1.
Wow, he was a weapon.
You can't make that up.
Yeah, he's a
you
weapon.
Can't make that up.
That's a weapon.
Although, how about this? You want to talk about perseverance and points? Brad Keselowski stuffed the spoiler to the rear glass.
Yes.
And yet was still out there grinding.
And when 6 laps to go, he was running 17th or 18th. It was like, are you kidding me? I mean, that's where he lined up. You know what I mean? But it's like, okay.
I mean, do we have the? If we have the finish, we got to put the finish up from Indy, all the rundown because we have. Yeah. I mean, we got some different guys in the top 10. We got
Eric Jones.
Eric Jones was there.
Eric Jones was. My dad. I talked to my dad last night, and he said, "Hey, we went from 27th to 7th in 1 lap." And I said, "That's because you were 27th, and everybody in between you and 6th wrecked. That's the way it was. But that's the way it was. I mean, is this it?
There you go.
This is points.
That's total. Look, how about this? So here's your points.
Yeah.
Kyle Larson takes over the regular season point standings. Why that matters is a huge points bonus. So Kyle Larson, while he didn't get the win he wanted, that issue with Denny Hamlin could have cost him 5 points. Here's the results. We've talked about AJ Allmendinger. Matty D 5th. Eric Jones 7th. Justin Haley 8th. Austin Cindric 9th. Newman, who I think was in the first wreck of the day.
Had the quarter panel torn off.
The whole day had the quarter panel.
I wish we could go to 11th because the safety truck that qualified ended up 11th. I think he did.
We're here to talk about the safety truck. Can we?
I forgot about that. I put that on the list.
The safety truck was on the racetrack.
For those who didn't see it,
oh my gosh.
I don't want to make joke of it because,
Listen,
there's been a few missteps that I get concerned about in that one. Thank goodness.
Thank
for
goodness.
everyone involved.
Thank
that could have been
goodness.
very dangerous.
Yeah, the pace truck came. Yeah. Corey LaJoie was finishing his lap, and the pace truck was on. The track is so big that actually the track was done, but he was under time, so he could finish his lap.
Yeah.
And I guess the pace truck thought, well, it's
congratulations to Bob, the pace truck driver, for finishing 11th.
Listen, man, I'm going to tell everybody at home, you did such a great job calling in that my boss just texted me and said, make sure you know it's Wednesday, 6 o'clock, because this show is fun, but it is nothing compared to today with, I don't know how many calls, 10, 12, 14.
That's crazy, man. You guys were great today. Thank you.
Made the show so much fun.
We don't need a curb to explode for Kyle to say something crazy. So if you call in, you can tee him right up.
Please
All right,
call
so we're going
back.
to be back Wednesday. We're going to talk it again. Real quick, Michigan preview. Is it back to Hendrick Speed? We expect them to be the favorites?
So. Yeah, for sure.
No PJ1 putting resin on the track like he did.
Oh,
yes,
we were
no
so
PJ1.
close.
Oh, my God.
We were so
There's
close.
resin on the
Close,
track.
man. All right.
I don't even know what to say to that.
Yeah.
All right,
I think I'll be back next Monday.
The chemist Jeff Burton is in the house. Wednesday, 6 o'clock, NASCAR America Motormouths. Tune in and call in. Thanks for all the calls. It's been a blast. So happy to be back on air.